because there are two things that really determine what we eat.
Whether or not you have a head. Sorry.
No, that was not it, but kind of. So, the first thing that determines what we eat is, of course, the church. So, because the church has divided the year into feasting days and fasting days, and then a few days that aren't either. So, on feasting days, you can basically eat whatever you want. Regular days, fasting days, you can eat neither flesh nor fowl, nor anything that comes from them. So not only can you not eat partridge or quail or peacock or pig or sheep, you cannot eat things like butter,
Cheese.
eggs,
Animal fats.
milk. You know how hard it is to make a good plum torte with fish oil? We tried that once, it did not go well. So, this is really important because the church, whoever's running it, is still enforcing these particular rules. So, the good news is today is a feasting day! And the church is also somewhat nebulous about what exactly is flesh and what is not. And for that I bring you my friend, Heaver the Beaver. Everyone say hi, Heaver!
Hi, Eva.
Yes, this is Heaver the Beaver, named after Anne Boleyn's childhood home, Heaver Castle. And as you can see, Heaver would be classified as flesh, right? So you would not be able to eat Heaver on a fasting day. Look, no, of course I would never eat you, Heaver, but I'm talking about things like you. However, according to the church, what you can eat on fasting days is beaver tail. Why? Because it swims in the water. Therefore, it is a fish. Do not try to make sense of this. This is the same people that brought you 19 heads of John the Baptist.
Celibate priests.
Yeah, go ahead and leave that one. Enough pieces of the true cross to rebuild the White Hart after a hooligan set gone wrong. Ah, you've been there. Excellent. So it's important. So that's why we use Heaver as an example, just as an example, darling. So that you understand that the church is still a little nebulous, and you can pay money to do things so that you don't have to follow the rules.
Oh, the sales of indulgences.
Right.
If you want butter, you have to pay for it to the church. But we're not giving any money to the Pope right now, so...
I'm not sure where it's really all going. Actually, we are. So, but anyway, so just remember...
On fasting days, no beaver, only tail.
Everybody repeat that. No beaver, only tail. There you go. You've got it. That'll keep you safe. And which brings us, though, to the second thing that concerns what we can eat and drink. And that goes along with the indulgences, and that is money. How much money do you have? The more money that you have, the more things you can eat. For example, His Majesty's feast tonight was planned to be a feast of 4 courses of 6 dishes each. They're usually 3 to 5 courses, 5 to 7 dishes each. I went halfway in between. However, I am not going to do that. Because instead I thought, since I'm going to have a tavern, I'm going to be cooking for the people of the village, the peasants, the merchants. They cannot afford boar or peacock. Nay. So what am I going to do? I'm going to cook peasant food. And I'm going to serve it to His Majesty. Because if His Majesty eats my peasant food, I can advertise at my tavern. King tested, king approved.
What? You're serving peasant food to the king?
Aye. My peasant food is delicious.
So when you see me on the morrow, I will be in more pieces than I am today.
Nay! I have made a wondrous dish today to serve for the king. And this dish is, you can make this at home, and I have receipts for you to pick up afterwards. And this is, it's a very special peasant dish because it actually has fowl in it. So this is a dish for, it's a feasting day, so I thought the peasants would like something other than just vegetables. So, this is a chicken dish. It's a chicken pie. And so we have here what the pie looks like when it is whole. And so what you do is you take the chicken and you take the bones out of the breasts, or if you're wealthy, You have somebody do that for you. You cut it into pieces and you throw it in water and you boil it for about 5 to 7 minutes. Get it kind of started to cook. You take it out. And then what you do is you're making a spice mixture. And the spices, and I have everything listed on here. Now, see, what I have for you is what the receipt looks like originally, and then what I do with it. Because you understand, the original receipt doesn't tell you things like amounts, or what temperature you should cook it at, or for how long. Because the cookbooks are written by cooks, and you know who cooks are generally?
Men.
Right, they will not ask for directions. What makes you think they'll give them? So this says, scald the chickens, draw them and pull the bones therein, then season them with cloves and mace, pepper and salt, and if you have them, grapes or gooseberries. Doesn't tell you how much, doesn't tell you what. So I do that for you. So we do season with the cloves and the mace and the salt and the pepper, and you do roll the chicken in that, and you do then cut it up into small gobbets, roll it in that, and then you add in, I took the grapes and I cut them in half because I had no gooseberries. So I cut the grapes in half, and then you roll that all in, and then you pour that into a pie shell, and you bake that for 15 minutes at 425 degrees, a hot oven. Then you take it out, and while that is cooking, you have hard-boiled some eggs. You take out just the yolks, and you crumble them, and you put them on with some bear juice, which you can make by using apple cider vinegar and sugar, and you mix it, and you strain that together, and then you crumble that on top, and then you put it back in the oven, and you bake it for 15 more minutes. And then you take it out. And then you take a mixture of butter and rose water and sugar, and you sprinkle that on the top, and you put it back in the oven, and you cook it for 15 more minutes, and it comes out and it has this beautiful golden color on the top from the eggs. And for Master Bodley, so that he can sample and see if this is indeed fit for His Majesty. I'll make sure I get you a little bit of everything. So we've got some eggs, we've got some grape, we've got some crust, we've got some chicken, a little bit of everything. There you go. A little something to wash that down with.
Aye. So it is well, and it probably will be fine for cooking, I think. I think it's the grapes that elevate it.
The grapes do elevate it. Gooseberries would have elevated it more, but they're not in season. So I went with the grapes, which is fine. It's still delicious. It's an excellent little pie, and very...
What am I drinking?
What are you drinking? You are drinking cider.
What?
Apple cider.
Aye?
A dry apple cider.
That's very dry.
Well, it is very dry because there's sugar and rose water in the pie. So you don't want a sweet cider, it's going to overpower it.
The second sip was much better. The first sip took me aback because I still had mace in my mouth.
Ah, that could be a little bit of a surprise.
Aye.
Now, for dessert, I have made an apple pie. Now this looks very different probably from any apple pie you've ever seen before. Because what you do is you take the apples and you boil them in wine. Yes, you boil them until they are very soft. And then you take them out and you just pick the skins off once they cooled a little bit, and then you mash them and you mix them with the spices. And again, we've got ginger and we've got cinnamon that's going in there, and some egg yolks, and you strain it with that, and then you pour it into the crust and you debake it. And of course, again, because I'm carrying things through, there's some there's some sugar in here, but there's also some rose water, because you want to carry some of the spices through both dishes in order to tie the meal together. Now this is very sweet, so you're really going to appreciate the dry cider.
Really sweet.
It is his teeth though. This is why you pair this with a dry cider. So you can down the brown sugar a little bit in the receipt if you don't want something too sweet. I may have accidentally put in an extra serving of brown sugar. Woo! but that's because the imperial lady likes very sweet things.
Oi, she is right that the pie and the cider go well together. It's kind of neat both. That is one of the sweetest things I've ever had in my mouth. And this is one of the driest ciders I've ever tasted.
I'm glad he said one of. So, I was talking about the cider. Where was your mind? So what I do also though is I like to pair these dishes with something that goes with both of them, because most of the peasants are not going to be able to afford two separate drinks, one with their main dish and one with their dessert. They're going to want the same thing. So I did choose a dry cider. It does pair well with both the chicken and with the sweetness of the pie. And I always try to pair ciders and drinks that you can get within a 3 to 4 hour carriage ride from Revel Grove. So this particular cider is the original crisp cider, and trust me, it lives up to its name. And it is from our friends at the Chesapeake Cider Company. And it is really delicious. So,
it does really go well with the pie. And it goes extremely well with the pie.
So that is what I am planning on serving the king tonight. Chicken pie and apple pie.
Lots of cider.
Lots of cider.
Lots of. It may keep me in one piece for tomorrow.
Well, but is it going to get me a tavern?
Oi, now that's a whole other story. I'm not sure how you are going to afford a tavern.
Well, I haven't had to pay any money for where I've been living for the last number of years. And, you know, I've been getting the extra money that you've been paying me from the extra money the mayor's been paying you, not to tell the mayoress about the extra money the mayor has. And I've saved all that. So I have the money to buy a tavern. So I'm going with Mistress Alice Overdone of the Bull's Head, and we're going to tool all of the taverns so I can decide which one I want. I think I've got it narrow it down to two. Either Oh Shucks or the Dragon Inn.
Dragon! Oi!
Well, it really depends on what you want. Oh Shucks is kind of ready to go. It already has a kitchen, it has the service for the bar, it's kind of turnkey. On the other hand, the Dragon Inn would need a lot of remodeling, but there's so much space.
So much space.
It's so hard to decide, but I will have to make that choice. You keep eating.
No,
You're gonna miss my cooking.
Oh, I am. The grapes in the chicken pie here really do bring it to that next level.
It really does. And you know, if you want to keep eating my cooking, you may have to reschedule our wedding. You know, lucky number 6, I hear.
Aye. 6 is a good number.
6 is a good number. So, when can we get married?
Aye.
Think very carefully about this, because this could depend on what happens for the rest of the evening.
Aye. If the king leaves this evening, then maybe on the morrow.
Excellent. Well, so I have an entire feast prepared for the king.
Oh, aye. With boar and peacock?
With boar and peacock.
But you are serving this to the king as well, aye?
I am serving this to the king as well, because I do want him to tell me how wonderful it is, so I can say, king tested, king approved on my tavern. Nobody else will be able to say that. So, if you would like to, you can come up afterwards and you can pick up the receipt from this week and from last week, because it's a 9-week show, and each week we do a different receipt. So you're going to get 9 different peasant main dishes and 9 different peasant dessert dishes. But if you would like to have something more fancy, you are welcome to come up, and I have created my very own cookbook. Unlike the men's, mine has ingredients. Oh, no. Let me explain this to you. One of the recipes in here, the receipts as we like to call them, is for peacock with ginger sauce. The original receipt read like this: roast a peacock on a spit. The sauce is ginger. And I turned the page of the manuscript looking for the rest of it, and then it said cumin stuffing. And I'm like, that was it? That was the entire receipt. The title was the receipt. Roast a peacock on a spit, the sauce is ginger. So I have given you times, temperatures, amounts, suggestions for what to substitute for peacock, because honestly, it's really gamey and tough. Aye, it is, and at 199 shillings a pound, nobody can afford that, not even the king. So, if you do wish to purchase Cecily Clack's Cakes and Ale, it's $10, I will sign it for you. This has 24 receipts I have taken from men's cookbooks and put into a way you can actually use them. And then 3 receipts I have created all on my own. So you can come and see me afterwards. Do we have any questions? Nay?
Well, I have one further word of advice for the day. If you see King Henry with a lady on his arm, that is not the Queen.
She is not here.
The Queen is not here this day. Anne Boleyn is not here.
That
So
is Mistress Harvey.
do not make that error saying, Your Highness, Your Majesty.
Long live the Queen would be a bad thing at this point. Let us just leave it at that. So we thank you all for joining us this day. I am Cecily Clack.
And I am Master Thomas Bodley.
And this has been
Cakes and Ale.